Welcome back, everyone, to Berlin, Germany, in our first series in the summer playoffs. Splyce are coming off a great comeback win in Game 2 as they and Schalke fight to secure a spot in the semifinals. Wow, well, if you think about confidence and about momentum, now it's in the court of Splyce. But of course, we can't forget that Schalke 04 had that wonderful backdoor win all the way back in Game 1. But it's completely evened up. So let's take a look at how Splyce came back in the series and won this Game 2 after being very far behind. I want to talk about a couple of performances. kaSing on Morgana, Ender, you talked about it already in some of the replays where he caught LeBlanc, but really the whole game long, he turned around moments in team fights.
Yeah, he had a bunch of heat-seeking bindings in this game, whether it was picking off Amazing, right as Amazing got the Herald, but that doesn't matter, or just every single bind to start off these fights and trade 1-for-1 in the front line. That really was the key, and eventually the biggest one was when he caught out Nukeduck and enabled Splyce to get the victory in that fight that got them the Baron and ended up leading into the game victory.
Yeah, because we can't forget that Schalke was ahead 5,000 gold.
And the most impressive part is so many of these bindings were on targets you should never be able to hit, right? Like Upset got hit multiple times when he has a dash. Nukeduck too, of course, that's an obvious mistake, but still the fact that he's making these plays happen and often in consecutive fights is so impressive.
To me, it was definitely interesting to see that kaSing is turning out to be a key player in this game. We called him out at the beginning of the show saying, well, hey, his Tahm Kench is benched, is nerfed. What is going to happen? But the fact is that he's shown very creative picks throughout the split already, and now he's able to show this as well. Djoko. Next up, I also want to go to the mid lane matchup, Nukeduck versus Nisqy. We also had question marks around what is Nisqy going to do when he's not on Zoe. Turns out he can still do wonderful things on Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I mean, he still has a Casio. These pocket picks, he's still playing there since back I know him in France League. So this guy is there and he has always had those champion. And I'm really happy that he had an insane performance right now on Casio, because even though he was getting dove 2v1, he almost killed Nukeduck and I don't know, having those nice Qs on Kobbe and I mean on Upset. I don't know, it was amazing this game.
Yeah, and if you look back at Game 1 too, his Syndra was no laughing matter. He's getting solo kills there in the mid lane. So I've got no more doubts about Nisqy. He's back and he's in the playoffs.
Me neither, and this is why this matchup is quite interesting to me, because it's not that Nukeduck's playing bad. Okay, we just replayed the fact that he came back into that binding from Morgana, but he's also been exerting pressure on the games in Game 1. It was arguably him that won the game by that Ryze pressure and the Ryze backdoor. Here in Game 2, he gets himself ahead as LeBlanc and is actually responsible for a lot of the leads that Schalke gets. So this is shaping up to be a real important one. So if this is so hotly contested, then we're looking at the other players. Who do you think has been stepping up for each team, or who do you think has not been stepping up enough for each team so far?
Well, I mean, if you look at Schalke, for someone not stepping up, it would be Upset, specifically in this last game. It was really tough for him. And it's sort of hard to watch, too, because usually I praise Upset so much for his positioning in late-game team fights. It's a guy that has oftentimes, on picks like the Ezreal, dove into the backline, been super successful. But in this game, he's getting hit by binding, stepping back into Cassiopeia ultimates, and getting caught out in situations you really should
Just a little stat line. This is the most deaths for a bot laner in a single game that a bot laner has gotten in the entire split.
Wow.
I believe.
On Ezreal, too. That's...
Weepo was the second one who had that horrible game on, was it Swain?
On Galio, no?
No, on
Swain.
Swain.
No, it was Swain,
Yeah, Swain. So anyway, this is just to show that this doesn't mean man overboard yet for Upset, but it does make us think about kind of the traditions of Upset in best of 5. So he is definitely going to have to recognize what has happened and step up, and then everything looks a lot better for Schalke. We heard Vedius mention Amazing and kind of the influence he's had. Djoko, how do you think Xerxe and Amazing have done so far?
I think it's like quite 50-50, to be honest. Like both of players make some really good plays, some really good ganks, and in team fight they don't make that much oversteps, you know, going for the carries, and they play around them their strengths. And I think right now it's kind of 50-50, like I was saying. Like there is not one jungler with like above each other, you know, like they are quite same. And yeah, I don't know. I think for me right now, all I'm seeing from those both games is only about mid. The one who has the upper hand about mid is gonna rotate, transit the Ruthless to another lane, and that's what I'm seeing right now. It's all about mid.
Yeah, and apart from those early game ganks around the mid lane, it's been pretty quiet from them. They've been role playing, they've been tanky frontliners for their team, throw out a Gragas ult here and there, but it hasn't been super impactful.
Do you want that to happen, though?
I, specifically from Xerxe,
yeah,
I really want that to happen. Because again, I'll stand by it. I think Xerxe making plays in the early game is a massive win for Splyce, whereas I think that Schalke are much more used to playing with Amazing, going a little bit slower.
Because, I mean, we can't forget that Splyce lost that first game. They went more all in on the early game, then lost in the mid game, and then decided to completely turn around the plan for game 2 and put a Vayne on the map, for Christ's sake. That is completely late game. So, but they pulled it off. So this makes it really hard for me to predict what the team should do. So Djoko, what do you think Splyce should do? How should they draft? And how should Schalke draft in the next game?
This game, obviously, they won, so we're going to say, okay, they were the best team, but I don't think it's an excuse to draft like this, because we saw that there was 5k gold behind, and in no world this should happen, because I think if Schalke played a bit slower, get this natural out of the map, and don't get caught with upset, Nukeduck, all this stuff, I think they would have won this game. So maybe going for something in BO5, just get strong lane, winning jungle, and try to snowball in early, because right now we see that it's a meta where you can transit the snowball pretty easily. And if you know how to play the macro and how to pressure the side tower, you're going to win this game. So yeah, I think just maybe a bit more earlier and comp more earlier, and that's it.
Players about ready. I'm with you. I want to see a Xerxe pick. I want to see a Zac. I want to see something like that for Splyce. We're dead even after 2 games. So let's send it over to our casters and see who takes the lead.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. And here we go. Final. It's not the final game. It's nowhere near the final game. Final chance for these teams to step up and prove they belong in semi-finals, prove they belong in Madrid. 1-1 at the moment. Been going back and forth between the 2 teams. Guys, what are we going to see now that we get into this 3rd draft?
League of Legends. We're going to see some fun. We're probably going to see more late game team fights, that's for sure.
Safe bet at the moment.
It's a pretty safe gamble. I'm curious, we talked briefly about it, both Deficio and I, about how should the draft change. Deficio feels that you can just pretty much keep the same draft. I feel like...
if you're Schalke.
If you're Schalke.
I think if you're Splyce, it's risky.
Obviously, there's a big risk, but playing towards late game, I feel like teams are going to take more of a priority on that late game insurance, just because I feel that right now teams are struggling to turn those early leads into big wins.
And it definitely makes sense, unless there's a bunch of coaches outside saying, guys, with the draft we had either game 1 or game 2, depending on which team you're looking at, we won the early game, we had full control of the game, we just have to fix 1 or 2 mistakes and then we win the whole thing. Then you can go for more early game. I think Schalke and the draft they had before, when they were able to shut down Kobbe completely on a Vayne, he was 1.5 items behind. Like, you had all the tools to win, but you make individual mistakes, and then kaSing makes big plays on the side of Splyce. And that's where I think if you are Schalke, you don't have to necessarily go full again, but you might just for safety.
So a few big picks left up here as we get through the first pick and ban phase. I'm looking at Alistair and Braum, both still on the cards here after they've been banned out in both first phases. Ryze was picked up by Splyce as well after being banned out in previous games.
And that sign got banned away by Schalke again. Didn't feel like it was that important in the last game, but I think on their side, they still did see some value from it.
Ooh, the blind Olaf as well as the Braum. The blind Olaf surprises me a little bit, but when we think about junglers that could answer it, trying to think back to some of the answers that we have seen in the past, because Trundle was the most common one that we often saw. When with that already banned away, it obviously increases the priority, but in terms of other options towards it, I feel like that there aren't that many due to his great early game skirmish.
Yeah, I was going to mention Gragas is just like, fine, I'm not going to win the 1v1, but at least I have insane value later in the game. But Schalke just picked an early game jungler. Olaf is screaming early game.
But the last time I saw Amazing play this jungler, he didn't have an impact.
He farmed until level 8, didn't get a single kill or assist.
So maybe that's a player thing, where we have to see what he can do in this game. The champion definitely screams a lot more early game focus. You could have gone Gragas Braum here on the side of Schalke and said, yeah, we want great late game on our side, but they drafted the Olaf. We're expecting now to get some lanes that can actually work with an aggressive early jungler to try and set up invades against the Gragas, early gank setup for Amazing to succeed on this pick. Splyce, it is the Morgana once again against the Braum. They're happy making this trade. First pick Ryze, give Braum over, because they know kaSing can take a champion that he basically won the game on in the last game here for his team.
So surely we're expecting the... oh, okay, I was going to say...
You should have said Syndra.
The Syndra, of course, as predicted. We saw this in game 1, where Nisqy was on the Syndra, and he found a lot of good early kills. Now the matchup will be reversed. So when you pair a Syndra up with Olaf, one of the really powerful things about that duo is their 2v2 skirmishing. You have strong ability to go for invades, because you often have priority in mid. You already have good gank setup with the Syndra, and the Olaf can just help provide a lot of damage as well. And you have some great chase potential with the continuous axes that come out from the Olaf too.
And we had a discussion before around early game versus late game. Both things definitely would make a lot of sense for the teams, but I'm glad to see an early game draft here. It's 1-1. If you lose this game, it's not over. You still have a game 4 to get back. So I think for Schalke, they can look at that Splyce early game from last and say, we beat that pretty easily. We can do that now with an even more early game focused draft.
I'm really liking this second ban phase as well, getting rid of the Jhin, getting rid of the Vayne. Schalke have first AD carry pick here. They can go for the Ezreal, and then you're forcing Kobbe onto something that we haven't seen him on in a long time. Yeah, Civic.
I would still have given him Vayne, honestly, because that just screams to me I get free like 35 minutes of just playing the map while Vayne doesn't do anything. So I think I could have given that over, but I think they're respecting the late game of the Vayne.
So the one thing I'd like to see from Schalke is some kind of answer to side lane Ryze. Something that teams have often, or over the last few weeks, we've seen a couple of Gnars being played into it, and like they hope that the Gnar will match the Ryze later on into the game. They obviously don't need to pick it now, but having something that can match him in a side lane, so if Splyce get to that point, they have an answer, I think would be valuable for the side of Schalke.
There is the Ezreal pick that we talked about, and now Splyce have to decide top laner and AD carry left, or could be a bot laner. We've seen Kobbe play a variety of champions throughout the split.
Is it the time of Twitch, Deficio? Would it return?
Someone's never the time of Twitch. In this case here, Gnar was the blind pick for them in game 1 when they had to find something for Odoamne, and that was a Maokai answer coming in from Schalke.
Yeah.
That obviously ended up with the help from Amazing, actually hard winning their top lane. So if it's the same, or if they just want to grab a tank, things like Cho'Gath is banned away, so they can't go for that. Yep. Same for the Poppy.
Oh yeah, of course, the Poppy's banned away too.
You're running out of a lot of blind pick tanks. Sion was banned in the first phase. Like, it might just be the Gnar again.
Nautilus. No. I mean, you could also flex the Gragas to top lane and potentially pick a jungler. Nope, they're just instead going to stick with...
So, Maokai for Schalke?
Potentially. I mean, it worked out very nicely for Schalke in game 1. It depends on, in terms of the lane matchup, right? Because you obviously had a big lead, and we saw Amazing playing a lot around to the top side of the map.
And Maokai has great setup for an Olaf. Like, you get plenty of damage in the first 20 minutes from that combination against the Gnar. So it would make sense, unless they want more Snowball.
But I think Maokai is really risky against Morgana. That's my big issue with it, because the Black Shield is pretty easy to react to with regards to the Morgana, the Twisted Advance, and because there is that setup, I think, like, I'm personally not a massive fan in its late game teamfight value.
However, if you're black shielding someone that gets advanced upon, you can't black shield the person gets unleashed powered upon. So
I mean,
if
a
you
black
get
shield
Nukeduck ahead,
is not.
it does a little bit at least.
I mean, and there is AoE as well from the Maokai to try and catch multiple members, but what I really am looking at here for Schalke is, I don't think they're too concerned about what's going to happen past 40 minutes, because I don't think they're like, listen, guys, we can win this game before 40 minutes.
Yes.
Like, we can now, with the Olaf pick from Amazing, have a very aggro early game. We have the Syndra into Ryze. We just saw that last time in game 1, how you can set up plays with Syndra so easily. And if you can snowball the game then through first Nukeduck and then Chachi later, you might not even get to the point where you're too concerned about the late game Kai'Sa with the Black Shield. If you get there, however, we might get the same kind of game we just had, where Kobbe is farming. He gets far enough into the game, he has a Black Shield, and he can then, together with Nisqy, carry Splyce team fights. But until that point, Amazing and Nukeduck together, that's the combo that needs to win this early game.
The thing I will note about Splyce's comp is they do also have a strong 1-3-1 option. Ryze in a side lane, Gnar in the other side lane, very impactful.
Before we get on into the game, as the teams load onto the Rift, we're going to head on over to Quickshot and Schalke's coach.
Thank you very much. I'm joined once again by Andre. Just before we get into the game, heavy early game focus from the team composition. So what specifically do you want your players to do to win with this comp?
So in this game, basically, what we are expecting is to force some 3v3 skirmishes around bot, getting a good advantage for that, and after that, getting a good early game lead so that they cannot build the 1-3-1 that they want to build. And we are always with a good initiative, and at the same time, just fix the snowballing mistakes that we did last game so we can close this one properly.
Thank you so much for the fantastic answer. Back to the casters.
Just need to fix the mistakes that they made in the last game.
It's true, they had everything they needed to win.
And I feel like that the game plan that we got is something that I completely agree with, because the one thing about 1-3-1 comps that you always hear is you need to be ahead. You can't afford to be behind, because when you move off to a side lane, if you don't generate pressure, you're not going to be able to do anything. And Schalke already looking for an early lead.
kaSing, concussive blow's going to land on him, uses the cleanse, has to flash away as well. Upset not going to go for the full chase, but they get both summoners out of kaSing early on.
So early invade on the bottom side, seeing if they can actually get an advantage down here. But Andre also mentioned they wanted to force skirmishes around the bottom lane in the early game. Or bot side. Obviously, we are expecting Nukeduck to be heavily involved in these as well, but the Kai'Sa pick in the early game. Obviously not looking to do that much on the side of Splyce. Let's see what happens with the early start. My eyes are again just glued to Amazing specifically. With the Olaf, there's been so many question marks. There we go. We also fixed the graphic. There's now room for Syndra.
Tons of room. Put one on each of his biceps in the future
There you go.
as well.
So many mid lane champions. This man, he's got a repertoire.
He was very good on the LeBlanc that he played last game.
He was. I feel like he's a good player, Deficio. I think that's a fair statement to make.
Numbers don't back it up, though. Like, if you look at some of his numbers, he sits 6th in KDA, 10th in damage per minute, 9th in kill participation, 9th in damage percentage for mid laners.
Yeah, but Medic, are stats really a representation of a player's skill? I mean,
it's a representation of how good they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. This is a long argument, but
yeah. It was just a bit of...
if a lot of the value you're adding is actually what you do in a side lane setting up waves, that doesn't give you any damage per minute, like at all. You're not actually hitting anyone. So a lot of these stats, a lot of people will pause and say, hang on, we can definitely make an argument here for how that's not relevant to the current performance of the player. I think last game was good, except for a little bit of a misclick, where he ends up dying to a binding where actually led to a Baron. So that was a big problem. And why Andre said we just need to fix some of these mistakes and we can cleanly snowball the game.
And I think you highlighted beautifully, Deficio, where
thank you, mate.
Nukeduck, he's not known for just building huge leads in lane. He's the kind of guy that has a lot of impact later on into the game with regards to finding picks or good flanks. I only need to think back to his Akali where he got a beautiful 2-3-man flank off and pretty much solo won that fight. And that's the kind of impact that this experienced veteran player does bring to this team.
Now let's see with the junglers. Xerxe has not gone back yet. He did the same thing in game 1, like a long first clear. He's actually ganking the mid lane. No boots on his side.
Nukeduck's going to have to use the flash. A great knockback, uses the cleanse burst. Nisqy still chasing in onto Nukeduck, just trading as much as he can. The overload misses in the end, but Nukeduck has been forced back.
Now I love that we're seeing Xerxe approach the wave before Amazing is able to get there, because we talked so much about how this mid lane matchup is very crucial for the side of Schalke in order to find early game leads. And in game 1, it was Xerxe that made that first play to get Nisqy first blood, but Xerxe showed up first, Nukeduck now forced it back.
Amazing is still sitting here with a blue buff picked up. He has boots completed. And now, because Xerxe has been on the map for so long, he's actually still not gone back to base and spend any of his gold. He can't actually activate the Predator just yet, but I think Amazing is looking at the bottom lane of Splyce, leaving very early. kaSing shows up, and Amazing has to back away because Nukeduck was forced back to base. He did not have push mid. He returned to mid lane. The wave was at his turret, and he obviously calls to Amazing, I can't actually help you. Just let me sit here, slow push this wave instead. And Amazing ends up backing out, even though there was an opening to try and go for a buff, but he needed lanes to support him, and not in position to do it.
I think Morgana's pretty scary if you don't have that ultimate as well. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, it looks like Odoamne having a much happier time. He's very aware of where the enemy jungler is, as he did just see Amazing try to invade, which means that he can look to use his range advantage to bully out the Maokai, get those hyper procs, and just continue to be obnoxious in this top lane and build a slight advantage.
See what happens bot lane here. First gank from Amazing.
There comes the Predator. Flash in from upset. That's aggressive concussive blows. Looking for it on kaSing. Lands it in the undertow. With a follow-up from VandeR's enough for first blood.
Remember that level 1. kaSing had to use his summoners. Instantly he dies of Vizicsacsi.
Chachi flashes forward. Couldn't quite get it with Bramble Smash, and Odoamne survives. And if you want to see what he picks up on this back, make sure you tune into the POV sweep.
Mid lane.
Mid lane fight is going to continue as well. Xerxe there in time. Nukeduck has nowhere to go. Splyce get their first kill of the game.
A lot of action already happening early on into the game, as a gank is set up in the bot lane by Amazing first off. So the Predator was used. Remember that kaSing doesn't have flash. He does have the cleanse up and available though. 3 flashes were used from the side of Schalke to secure that kill and try and get a bit of a shutdown. While that was happening, a 1v1 was happening up top where Chachi utilizing his rune to get a bit of extra damage and force a couple of flashes out. Then the mid lane gank happened.
Yeah, Nukeduck of course used his cleanse earlier. And while it does have flash, because Nisqy flashes aggressively, there's no way out. Let's see what happens now. Amazing and Xerxe.
No flash.
Nisqy's on his way with a Realm Warp as well. Amazing's just like, I'll get some Krugs. Nowhere I can go. Nisqy gets his kill.
And remember, Schalke wants to win this early game to stop Splyce from using Odoamne and Nisqy as very strong split pushers later on. What's happening right now? Amazing is level 4. He just died top lane. He's already used his flash aggressively. Xerxe has been walking around, power farming into ganking mid twice, so his mid laner is now ahead. And Xerxe himself is ahead in this matchup. Amazing is in a very tough spot right now.
And at the start of this series, we said, are we going to see the playoffs Splyce? Are we going to see the Splyce that was aggressive in the early game in spring, that was able to get ahead through Xerxe, through Nisqy? That's exactly what we're seeing in this game. It's such a transformation from them, from how they played this split, where they were much more measured, much more about scaling up into the late game.
Well, it's also really important for their draft that they find this early lead because they are setting themselves up for the 1-3-1. Ryze having 1-0-1 in kills right now will nicely move off to a side lane, and who is going to answer him on Schalke? Maokai is not going to stop him. Syndra's not going to be able to deal with him, especially if he has that lead and gets a very early completed Seraphs, and the same for the Gnar. Splyce are really setting themselves up nicely for that side lane pressure.
But if you are Schalke, that bot lane is a lane you can win. You can actually put pressure on the turret, and you can start moving Nukeduck down together with Amazing once we get a bit further into this early game and start looking for potential dives into his early turret. Top lane Odoamne is a little bit difficult to gank for them. Early MR boots as well for a bit more tenacity on his side. I just want to see though with Schalke, because again, we're looking at this Olaf, who's not out jungling the Gragas in the early game. And that's again why the pressure's on Amazing to do something, because the Gragas is happy just waiting. He doesn't actually need to overforce anything right now.
Very happy just to farm up for the moment. Amazing will steal away the blue. Still not level 6 though. Trying to scale up towards that Ragnarok.
Yeah, I do feel like the pressure falls on Schalke to be making plays in this early game. We talked about scaling in the draft and how Gragas has way more late game value than the Olaf will. It's going to be very difficult for that Olaf to have real kill threat on champions like the Kai'Sa later on into the game. And also, it's just that it's Syndra. Her strength is in the early to mid game, and Ezreal, he has a very strong mid game spike. So Schalke, while at this point you don't need to be worrying, they need to be setting themselves up to that strong mid game to take advantage of it.
It was interesting to see the decisions from junglers though. Xerxe opting into mid lane, knowing that if I don't do it, there's a chance they will do it against my mid laner. And that's how Nukeduck got shut down a bit in the very first game of this series, where it was a Syndra on the other side, and they were ganking for that Syndra on the side of Splyce. But because he obviously went bot lane against a no-flash Morgana, he couldn't do anything mid. That's a very early Infernal Drake now for Splyce, and Schalke not able to react. Nukeduck was back in base again, had to return, and it's another wave push to his turrets. Nisqy is in full control right now.
In a very strong spot, has that tier stacking up. So does Upset with the Sheen as well in that bottom lane. Gonna get a little bit of a chunk damage down onto this tower, but nothing major yet happening in that bottom lane.
Now, gentlemen, the track record of this quarterfinal so far has been early game lead results in a loss.
Yes.
Now, Splyce obviously looking to change that trend, and so far in the early game, things are looking pretty good for them. They have an advantage in mid. They're a little bit behind in the top lane, similar to what we saw in game 1, but Nisqy now roaming up.
Trying to do something with the lead that he has got in this lane. Nature's Grass going to come out.
They got
trying
him.
to get away from this one, but the Realm Warp comes in, and Nisqy gets his second kill. This is what we want to see from Splyce.
And the timing was great, because it was just as Nukeduck was going over to get his blue buff that Nisqy was able to make a roam top, as Xerxe was trading with Odo and didn't have his flash available. Another kill in favor of Splyce.
And now I want to see the play from Schalke on the bottom side. We talked about this a couple of minutes ago. They're coming here. Let's see if they can actually kill them.
Undertow gets blocked with the Black Shield. kaSing the target under the tower. Flashes away the cleanse as well, but Nukeduck's here in the moment now. Can Kobbe survive underneath the tower? Has the killer instinct for that shield. Nukeduck's going to be the one to tank it up. Xerxe on his way as well. Kobbe, killer instinct back. Jumps the man the whole fight. Kobbe somehow still alive. Goes down to a dark spear. Nisqy now on the flank. Doesn't have the ult, but has a flash if he wants to go in. Xerxe still on the chase as well. Has his flash of his own. Nisqy flashes in. Nukeduck cleanses, but you can't cleanse an overload. Flash away from VandeR as well.
Oh, right there, Nukeduck thought maybe he could stay alive if he just cleansed, flashed out in time, but he went down so quickly. We have to go back 30 seconds here. The early roam top side is actually what enables them to play bot lane from Schalke. Of course, no flash from Vizicsacsi was used, aggressively trying to get a solo kill. So he can't get out in time here. I believe the spectator client is lying to you. There's a couple of seconds left on that flash cooldown.
Now, the thing is for Schalke, when they set up for this dive, note how they don't actually have a minion wave with them. Gragas is already moving towards the bot side of the map along with Nukeduck. So while they get the kill onto kaSing, they have to burn a lot of summoner spells to do it. Now they think, okay, we have a numbers advantage, we can secure this, but look at the minimap again. Nisqy already making his way down, Xerxe has already arrived. Kobbe buying so much time through good use of the ultimate, but it allows Nisqy to show up, find a couple extra kills, And then Splyce end up turning this, I believe, overall in their favor.
Oh, Nukeduck probably thought he could actually get behind VandeR before the Q hit him. That's why he didn't flash instantly. Sadly, it actually kind of just curved around the Braum. You might be a little bit unhappy with the hitbox.
You can curve a bullet. We've seen it happen a few times. Still, though, although Splyce are 5-3 up, although they've got this big Ryze in the mid lane, they are only 700 to 800 gold in the lead. It's very reminiscent of Game 1, where they never really got a monumental advantage.
Your Gragas is 2-0-2, their Olaf is 0-2.
Yep.
That's exactly what you want to see if you're a Splyce. Like, this kind of goal lead is more than enough for them, because we know later, Vedius highlighted already, no one stops Nisqy in a side lane. Like, get him to that point where he can start going to that side lane. He's already fed, and Schalke have to force fights around a Baron, around the Drake, to try and get Splyce to stop 1-3-1-ing, and that's been a problem actually with forcing fights so far in this series. It's one of the reasons teams have not been able to snowball the games.
And another thing we once again have to highlight is how well Nisqy is playing. Because throughout this split, we as a broadcast team have said he's been the most consistent player on Splyce. He's not really someone that the team has looked to play through or enable. He's just been very solid, especially on some of his comfort champions like the Zoe. But this series, it's been all about Nisqy, playing through him, giving him loads of ganks, giving him big comfort champions, and just enabling him to be a huge carry. And now, coming into Game 3, he is 3-0-1. This guy is having a monster performance.
Schalke looking towards bot lane again. It should be communicated each time. When Nukeduck goes missing, he's coming bot lane because there's multiple wards on top side to spot him. And that obviously means that if you are the bottom lane of Splyce, your only job is to survive, keep your turret alive for as long as possible, while Xerxe tries to get something on the other side of the map. And it's happening at the moment. Odoamne is also hitting that top lane turret. Schalke need a big play, ideally around that bot lane, to secure a turret for the AD carry and then start speeding up the game a little bit. Otherwise, Splyce is just gonna remain in control.
I haven't seen the skirmishes from Schalke that they wanted in the early game. Haven't seen that bot lane play. At least haven't seen it be effective for them. Nisqy picks up the blue, and Splyce in a very strong spot in Game 3 of this best of 5. A place in Madrid is on the line. And for a lot of these players, it's another chance to fight for a title. No one in this game has an EU LCS title. No one has been able to claim the best prize in Europe.
But they've been in multiple playoffs. Yeah. These two rosters are stacked with extremely well-known players that have had multiple playoff appearances, many final appearances as well. And for them, none of them to have a title yet, just goes to show how competitive some of the top spots are in our region.
All right, top one turret going down. Kobbe did TP in for it, so we end up getting a trade here. It's not Schalke just getting a free bot lane turret on their side. Kobbe is able to get a bunch of gold on the top side. Meanwhile, we gotta remember that Rift Herald that was taken before here. Instantly used in the mid lane, and right now it's just amazing around the turret to defend. Nukeduck is actually not in a good position, unless he wants to fight.
Well, Amazing's going to try and defend if he can. The Rift Herald comes in. That's going to be a tower down, you have to feel, because all 5 members of Splyce are here. And Amazing maybe not in the best of shape. Nature Grass comes out. Schalke trying to look for the fight in the mid lane. Kobbe dived onto the bad line. Amazing is down. Odoamne is going to jump away. Nukeduck solo as well. Unleashes power on Xerxe, but he goes into the stopwatch. And now Chachi not in the best of shapes. And Schalke tried to make a fight happen, but Splyce, whoa, ready and waiting in the moment. The Realm Warp comes in. Nukeduck trying to get away. Has the flash, will escape. VandeR unable to get to safety. A superlative fight from Splyce.
Oh, he hit it. Arnold.
Splyce find a fantastic fight in the mid lane. They secure themselves 3 quick kills and are looking to get another tower in their back pocket. It was Schalke who drafted towards the early game. It was Schalke who wanted to remedy their mistakes from the previous game, but it is Splyce who are constantly coming out on top.
This is a play where Splyce are just so far ahead of Schalke with setting up the push in mid, and Amazing is sitting there trying to defend, but he ends up taking a bunch of damage, then he just gets destroyed, and you can't win this fight here. Especially not when everything is used on a Gragas with a stopwatch. A great play from Xerxe, and in the end, Splyce able to chase down and get another kill onto VandeR. Bunch of damage on the mid lane turret as well with that Rift Herald. What a big, big play, and we're not even at the moment yet where this Splyce comp is supposed to dominate. Like, they couldn't have asked for a much better start.
We said it was Schalke that wanted to get the early game lead. We said they wanted to snowball. It's been all about Splyce in this first 16 minutes.
They took the Olaf in first rotation. Things like Gragas, it was there. It was available for them. They drafted the Olaf. They said, we can use this champ to force fights in the early game around the bottom side. They got 1 kill early on to kaSing. They tried another dive after, which ended up being an even trade. And apart from that, it's been all Xerxe just playing around mid side, then going towards top lane. And when that happens, well, then your Ryze is 4-0-3.
And I love the way in which Splyce are playing right now. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is our 6-seeded team. And they're currently looking to go to... Ooh!
Engage onto Nisqy. Unleashed power comes out as well. That's what Schalke wanted. One of our Super 6, but 6 nonetheless, Vedius.
Nukeduck finds himself a bit of revenge thanks to Chachi. Upset. Ooh, jumps in aggressively. May not realize that Xerxe is on the prowl.
Losing top lane turret.
All right, so trades going back and forth. I feel like Splyce is the one's coming out ahead, though.
Nature Scott's going to be used here in the bottom lane. They can try and catch out Odo if they can. The cats do connect. You can see Upset doing a little bit of damage, but Vizicsacsi needs to come in to tank up that tower. Explosive cast used, and now Vizicsacsi not in the best of shapes at all, just caught underneath the turret. He's down. Amazing runs in as well. Looking for the chase onto Odo. Will eventually get him down. Upset flash
They're
through
still
it,
pushing
but
top
they're still
lane.
pushing in the top lane. Kobbe and kaSing looking to get that inhibitor down. The True Shot Barrage comes in from the side as well, but the inhibitor tower falls, and the trade just seems to be in favor of Splyce.
Schalke trying so hard to force something on the bot side of the map. It gave so much freedom for Kobbe and kaSing to just keep pushing, keep pushing. They farm up, they get loads of turret damage down onto that top lane inhibitor, and now they've exposed it for Splyce to look to play around.
Schalke did get the mid lane turret. They got the bot lane tier 2 as well. Picked up at least a kill onto Amazing. But yeah, losing everything topside. Luckily, no inhib actually died. And that, while it does definitely suck, you lose that inhib turret.
We talk about a playoff buff for Nisqy. In the regular season, he has had 5 CS leads at 15 minutes. Today, he has been ahead in every single game. That's the sort of player you want on your team, the guy that will step up when it matters the most, and that's what he's doing for Splyce.
But I think it's really important to credit Xerxe as well. This man has been hovering around the mid lane multiple times very early on, making sure that when he had the Syndra, he could get Nisqy ahead. When he was against a strong matchup, he was able to play around. Now he's and there's Xerxe once again. Clearly, Nukeduck couldn't quite handle his drink, and then he ends up dropping in the end. Another kill going in favor of Splyce.
Schalke need to find a way back into this game. They are 3,000 gold behind, 18 minutes in. They have a top lane inhibitor that now has no tower to defend it, and Splyce have a 1-3-1 composition to pull Schalke around the map.
The way back is your AD carry right now. He did not perform in the last game. This one, they played around his lane. That's why he's so far up in CS. They've gotten the bot lane turrets for him as well. He does have 2 items, no fully stacked here just yet. But they've invested a lot towards him, while we saw Splyce investing towards the mid lane. Let's see if Upset can actually do enough. It's a very tough situation to be in. Your entire team has fallen very far behind. Almost feels unfair, but that's where the Schalke focus went towards.
And the focus, since Schalke has come into the league, has been around Upset. He was the franchise man for this team, the man the team was built around. And when you have a franchise man, he's the guy that has to step up in moments like this. Yes, you have the experience of Chachi, you've got Nukeduck, you've got Amazing, you've got VandeR, you've got every part of the toolkit around you to help you out, but you have to stand up and be counted in these moments.
Well, we're going to be keeping our eyes on him as Splyce once again group up towards the bot side of the map. This will be their 7th tower of the game if they're able to secure it, but right now sitting on a 4,000 gold lead. Schalke are just constantly playing on the back foot, failing to find that early advantage. So far is biting them in the backside.
It is so hard when every lane gets pushed in. Like, you have to catch the wave. You can't afford to fall even further behind in experience, but when you're catching a wave, the other team has already moved on and they're doing something on the other side of the map, and then you have to run from top to bot lane, bot to top lane, and you just don't get to the fights fast enough. 1-3-1 comps are always fantastic at snowballing when they are ahead. Typically, they still do need a big objective to fully finish the game, and that is suddenly the way back if you are Schalke. Like, trying to win a fight there with Upset specifically. Tia is fully stacked now, and Schalke actually have a bit of time to poke down mid lane.
I wonder if they actually do need a big objective, because we talked about it earlier. Who's going to win against Nisqy and Odoamne in a side lane? The fact that you can just keep them there, and then you have your 3 or your 4, like push mid, go to Baron, push mid, go to Baron. Like, if you never actually start that objective, you can just use the 1v1 advantage that you have to eventually break into the base. And I feel like Splyce, right now, the pressure's more on Schalke to find that pick, find that
100%, and they're trying now.
Nisqy, spell shield keeps him alive just for the moment. Nukeduck knocked back with the explosive cast. Teleport coming in behind them. Here comes Xerxe, the Maokai, trying to land that Nature's Grasp and knock back onto kaSing. But look at Odo, he's just pushing them back. The threat of the Mega Gnar is huge. Xerxe, the first to fall. Kobbe was knocked back, but you need to look at Upset. He has to keep himself alive. The Gnar comes back, Nukeduck down. Realm Warp used in as well. Upset getting chased off towards the bottom of the fight. He is gonna be done for. Jumps across, tries to take down Nisqy, but he just can't do enough. And Splyce went out huge in the mid lane.
Schalke tries so hard to force that fight, and things look pretty promising as Xerxe comes in from the flank, but it is Splyce who turn it around. It is Splyce who finds 4 kills. Splyce will now secure themselves the Baron.
And now you just get everything. It doesn't even matter if you need it or not, you're getting it. Nisqy's even on the Infernal Drake. They're just splitting up. It's only VandeR alive at the moment. There is TP on Upset, but he's dead for another 10 seconds. It should be 2 big objectives for Splyce. They win another fight. Xerxe actually got the perfect flank, but no one could follow up in time to try and kill Nisqy.
Yeah, I'm really curious about how that fight played off, because I want to give credit once again to kaSing. The way in which he uses the spell shield to just soak up a lot of the crowd control. Starts off with a little bit scattered from Splyce, a lot of ultis just kind of thrown out there. Then Xerxe comes in.
But right here, Xerxe needs to just instantly go on Nisqy. Nukeduck flashes in with him and uses the ulti on Syndra, and you try and kill the Ryze in time.
Yeah.
But the hard thing is, if you don't do that instantly, Xerxe dies. You're behind. You don't have more damage than the other team. And the moment you hesitate just a little bit, Splyce win the fight.
Nukeduck ends up ulting Odo, who is just kept alive through the back shield, through all of his health as well. And you can see on the face of Xerxe that was a game-defining moment, maybe a series-defining moment as well, as Splyce are looking to go 2-1 up.
And we look at the series in its entirety. Game 1, on paper, Splyce should have won that game. Right? It was Schalke with a really clutch play at the very end that helped them secure the first map. Game 2, Schalke should have won that game. But Splyce, with a couple of great late game fights, were able to turn it around. Now game 3, it is Splyce who get an early lead, and they are controlling the pace of the game. They are utilizing this early game lead effectively. They now have a Baron, and things are looking very positive for Splyce so far in the series.
Such an evolution from the team that we expected to play for the late game. 24 minutes in, they are 8,000 gold ahead. They have triple dragons, they've got a Baron as well. This is the Splyce we saw in spring playoffs.
And they didn't even draft for an early game snowball. They just outplayed Schalke in the early game, specifically around mid first.
Yep.
With the combination of Gragas and Ryze.
And you get that Ryze ahead, and it was then Nisqy who was using his lead very effectively. Now, Odo, alone in the bot lane.
Upset jumps in, Odo trying to trade onto him, but there's the kill. Now, what is Splyce doing on the rest of the map? Top lane, they're pushing in. They're Realm Warp for that inhibitor.
Oh, he moved the minions to mid.
Inhib tower in the mid as well. There's the inhib going down in top. Minions in mid, looking for it, but Schalke are able to hold on to just one of those 2 inhibitors. They lose top, but they keep mid alive.
So, Splyce end up trading 1 life for 1 inhib. How long is left on the Baron? About, I think like 30, 45 seconds, something like that. So I think it'll be unlikely that they secure an extra objective off the back of it. Not the best use of the Baron, but still in control of the game. 8,000 gold in their back pocket. Now I want to see them divide the map up more. Take advantage of this 1-3-1. Utilize the fact that Ryze is now a fully fledged wizard, has completed the death cap, sitting on a healthy amount of AP.
He has 800 AP.
Yeah, so pretty healthy.
Yeah.
That's pretty beefy.
Yeah.
And you've got like 3 items completed on Kobbe now. He's got the Runans alongside the Ginsus and the Stormrazor. You look at the other side, Nukeduck, Void Staff and Ludens. 3 items on the Ezreal. Upset is actually going the double tier build here as well, so we'll have a bit more damage in the late game if he can get that.
Now they lose the top inhib here, but by killing Odoamne, they do manage to stop Splyce from pushing even further beyond, obviously, the play top. But there's minions being pushed into mid with the Ryze ult, so they actually get a bit of extra damage on the turret. It's a nice little detail from Nisqy. Schalke once again, 1 fight. If they lose, game is over. 2-1 Splyce in the series. If they win, they buy more time to continue trying to go into late game, but that's not even a huge advantage. It's just the only win condition for them now.
Yes, now there is a top wave pushing in, so you can see that 3 members are actually grouped up mid for Splyce, and both split push it now down in the bot lane. And those super minions are going to be forced to clear out by Amazing. This is where Splyce have the numbers advantage, but they don't have a mid lane wave to utilize to siege onto the tower, so they're forced to play a little bit more defensive.
Schalke have been playing defensive for the last 10 minutes, but all it takes is one moment of genius from someone. Nexus Tower getting hit by those super minions. They still have to defend. Nisqy steps forward, caught out a little bit by Nukeduck. Not enough damage to go for the unleashed power yet. Schalke defending in the mid lane with the Unbreakable just to keep that inhibitor tower alive. The minions are still on the Nexus towers, remember. 26 minutes in, Splyce are looking to break the back of Schalke.
And even if Nisqy takes some damage, he can always TP back, as long as he doesn't get fully one-shot by Nukeduck. Needs to be a little bit careful with the damage coming in, but he does have an extra shield from his fully stacked tier. Meanwhile, Upset is dealing with the minions top side. Schalke's composition, main engage, is effectively Chachi trying to get in with Amazing, but it's fairly low range on the W, and it's going to be a fairly slow engage with the Maokai ult.
Love the way in which Nukeduck is not hard committing for any kills. He's just throwing out poke. He's using the Q plus W combo to combine it with the Comet harassment, and he's just chipping the opposition away so that they get too afraid to approach the tower in the event that he then turns around and all ends. But the other contributing factor to making this siege hard is that Kobbe on Kai'Sa does have a pretty short range. So if she wants to hit that tower, she has to get dangerously close to the Maokai, to the Olaf. And with 4 members grouped mid, Splyce have to be very patient. And it just feels like that they're keeping the waves pushed so they can maintain vision control around the top side of the map, so they can then play towards Baron, which is spawning in about a minute and a half.
Next key objective for them, but we have talked about how if Schalke can find a fight around one of those big objectives, that's how they can turn this game around. They're going to stall for the next minute and a half, 2 minutes until Splyce try and set up around Baron. And then Splyce will look for a pick, look for a catch, look to take down that key objective.
Still looking. Well, Splyce, don't overcommit for anything. Just wait for objectives to spawn. Play around them instead. They've actually put Nisqy towards the Baron area now. Let's see if he's looking to make a play on top side. Might just place a ward and do nothing else, or actually kill the Rift Scuttler. So they know at the moment Schalke do not have any vision in the river, because it's been impossible. They've actually been pushed back for so long that it is fully cleared without even having any control wards on the side of Splyce.
Do you feel like Splyce need to go back soon, though, and reset their vision, spend some of the gold that they have? Because if you look at their inventory right now, only Nisqy has control wards. Oh my word, that's quite a gold lead in the mid lane. But yeah, so if they want to take the Baron, they're going to need to restock on the control, and you can see that Schalke have already managed to get a bit of vision back towards their top side of the jungle, but that's as far as they can go.
And this just sets up the only way back in the game for Schalke. They need to make sure when Baron is alive in the next 3 to 4 minutes that they don't either get split pushed all the way down and backdoored by a Ryze, or that they don't lose the big fight around Baron and the Baron itself. Because if either of those two happen, Nexus is gone. It doesn't even matter if they, you know, just stall a bit but then still lose the Baron itself, because then Splyce will push down all 3 lanes and take everything you own.
And to think that Schalke is in this position, the team that was expected to finish 2nd place during the regular season, they had some intense tiebreakers versus both Vitality and G2, and now they're at risk of falling behind in this best-of-5 quarterfinal.
They have a ward outside, so they know it's being started. Amazing is around with Flash.
Odoamne is going to spot him out, though. You see Nisqy still pushing in the side lane. Teleport coming in. Amazing has to flash across the wall. Can he get to safety? Odoamne with the chase. That is a very dead Olaf. Baron resets, but Xerxe pushes forward once again. Schalke trying to defend. Nisqy still pushing in that bottom lane.
Yeah, Nukeduck, no TP is the one defending, so they know Syndra is not here. It's only the Ezreal who can actually do something. Nukeduck is trying to figure out, should he move? Should he stay on the bot side? If he moves, the turret is gone on bot lane. If he actually stays, they can't fully win a team fight against Splyce. And oh, he took a lot of damage. He was forced to use both summoners right there. Splyce remain in full control.
Upset just trying to land the poke here around the Baron if he can. Nisqy on that inhibitor tower will be able to chunk that one out
can just start Baron again.
Can get back. They're going to restart the Baron. As you say, Nisqy pushes forward. Nukeduck trying to answer him. Needs to get that damage down. Needs to chunk out Nisqy at least.
Amazing is alive now, but he's very far away from this big objective here. Splyce starting the Baron. Will Schalke do something? Ezreal can poke over the wall, which is very effective. They're moving into force them away, but Nisqy is still in the bottom lane.
They're just trying to reset the Baron. Schalke just stalling for as long as possible.
Oh, Amazing's fighting Nisqy! Amazing's fighting Nisqy instead of coming for the Baron. Vizicsacsi needs to get away from Xerxe. Flashes, VandeR there, explosive cast knocks him back. That Maokai is done for.
Nisqy's winning!
Nisqy is winning the 2v1. He goes down. Unleashed power is enough to take him out. Chachi dies on the other side, and now Splyce have to make a decision. Do you go for Baron, or do you reset?
It ends up being a 1-for-1, but look at how low Amazing and Nukeduck are. Both of them will be forced to go back to base, but Splyce recognize, you know what? They have a lot of damage dealers. They still have the jungler alive. We've just lost our primary split pusher. Let's disengage.
But Splyce not getting either the Baron or a fight. 4 versus 3. was a big, big problem. They got so much poke from the Ezreal over the wall, and then the long-range Maokai ult as well, so they were stuck in a Baron pit taking damage. They ended up just disengaging at first before they actually killed Xerxe after. Nisqy ended up dying, did not use his shield from the Seraph. Not sure if it actually would have saved him due to just the picture.
Here we go.
Nisqy's dead.
We're just going to go for it. Nisqy's dead. 14 seconds left on him. Has the teleport. Baron down to about 11,000 HP. Splyce looking to make this fight happen. Schalke once again with the macro core. Xerxe's going to teleport in. Here we are. 5v4. Splyce needs to do something. No vision in that bush as Splyce gather up around the Baron. 8,000 HP left on it, but Schalke are getting chunked out a little bit.
Nisqy's coming.
6,000 HP left. Nisqy's coming. Has the teleport there. He joins the fight. 4,000 HP on the Baron. Here we go. This is the fight. This could be the defining moment of the series. Kobbe jumps in. Unleashed power. Not enough. Odo gets on the back line. He takes down Nukeduck. Amazing's dead. Xerxe's gone and Splyce demolished Schalke in the river.
Splyce with a massive team fight once again. Schalke went for the desperation play, but it wasn't enough. Double TP down into the bot lane. Splyce looking to take game 3.
This is it. That was the moment for Splyce. They are one step closer to Madrid. They can feel it, one game away from their spot in the semi-finals once again, and they don't care who you are. They don't care what play you make. They will beat you at your own game. They will take you out, and they will take the Nexus.
Splyce outplayed Schalke in this game. Big, big difference in terms of early game impact from Xerxe versus Amazing. Amazing went bot lane, which was fine. He secured a kill, but after that, there was nowhere else for him to go. While Xerxe, didn't matter which lane he visited, he got something for his team. He started in the mid lane, he got the full control over to Nisqy, which was the huge carry in the game with Xerxe, and that combination, playing around what I consider the most important lane in the current meta, mid, was the key factor for Splyce winning the early game.
This mid-jungle synergy is looking terrifying right now for Splyce. They have been playing so well throughout this entire series. Game 1 with the Syndra, early gank from Xerxe. Game 2, when they were up against a LeBlanc, it was Xerxe who was around to help stop some of those early ganks. In Game 3, he was the one that found First Blood alongside Nisqy. These two are playing phenomenally. They're a large part of what's helping Splyce find these early game leads. And they're so far doing a good job of taking the series with a lead right now.
Incredible stuff from Splyce. We wanted that transformation. We wanted to see more from Xerxe, and that's exactly what we're seeing. On the other side of the coin, though, Amazing had this Olaf in first rotation. He did 5.3 thousand damage that game, and once again, he did not have the impact we wanted to see from him.
But here's the thing, right? The difficult thing is, what is the team call versus the individual players call? Like, we heard from Andre in the interview before, just after the champ select, saying we want to play around bot side. That's where we want to make something happen. And they did get kills down on bot side. Ezreal won his lane. Remember, they forgot about mid. And this fight here is a desperation play from Schalke. They're never actually fully winning this 5-on-5 team fight while also dealing with the Baron. But they had to try something. Ends up costing them. They lose the game. But this game was lost way earlier. The moment you felt this far down against a 1-3-1 comp and Nisqy was like 6-0, you're not coming back.
Great game overall from Splyce. Now they're reviewing and prepping for their next game. The win will take them to Madrid. They'll find themselves in their second semi-final in a row this year. And they will be guaranteed to go up against Fnatic if they find the victory.
They are the lowest seeds, so we'll have to play against Fnatic, which is going to be a tough one for them, but
they were the underdogs in this, Deficio.
It's a Splyce team with a lot of confidence, and they knew with enough time to prep, they could get ready for Schalke.
But of course, this is still a best of 5. Schalke can still bounce back. We've seen them make some pretty clutch plays. They just need to shake this off and come up with change their style, come up with a strat for game 4.
Go mid lane.
Go mid lane. They do have a track history of going 3-2 in best of 5s as well on this very stage. If you want to watch Europe's Best Battle, it's out in Madrid on the 8th and 9th of September. You need to head on over to eu.lolesports.com/Madrid 2018 and get your tickets. We also have 254 cinema viewing parties in 30 countries all across Europe. So grab a friend, gear up, and get ready. It's going to be a great summer finals. For more information, check out eu.lolesports.com/cinemas.
And once again, as a reminder, all in lowercase. It is case sensitive, so if you are interested in tickets, type it in, go check it out. It's going to be an amazing final.
Yeah, well, a few had picked Splyce to win this series, but now they are on the brink of reaching semi-finals for the second split in a row and securing a spot in Madrid. The next game is just moments away. Don't miss it. for that shield. Nukeduck's going to be the one to tank it up. Xerxe on his way as well. Kobbe, killer instinct back, jumps him and the whole fight. Kobbe somehow still alive, goes down to a dark spin. Nisqy! Schalke trying to look for the fight in the mid lane. Kobbe dived onto the bad line. Amazing is down. Odoamne is going to jump away. Nukeduck solo as well, unleashes power on Xerxe, but he goes into the stopwatch, and now Chachi not in the best of shapes, and Schalke tried to make a fight happen. Chachi the first to fall. Kobbe was knocked back, but you need to look at Upset. He has to keep himself alive. The Gnar comes back, Nukeduck down. Realm Warp fused in as well. Upset getting chased off towards the bottom of the fight. This is the fight. This could be the defining moment of the series. Kobbe jumps in, unleash power, not enough. Odo gets on the back line. He takes down Nukeduck. Amazing's dead. Chachi's gone in Splyce once again, and they don't care who you are. They don't care what play you make. They will beat you at your own game. They will take you out, and they will take the Nexus.